Right, and so let's quickly shift into our distinguished panel that we have here for you today. Let me invite them to the stage in the order that I want you to be seated next to me. First of all, please, a warm welcome for Malcolm Miller. He's the CEO of Miller Distributors Limited. Malcolm, where are you? There you are. Malcolm, welcome. So we have distributor and publisher. Joining him is Jean-Paul Lubot, Associate CEO at Marie Claire. Jean-Paul, bienvenue. Bonjour. Next, Malcolm Miller. He's the CEO of, sorry, I stand corrected, Rick de Nolf, President of Ruralta Media Group. Great honor to have you with us. Welcome. Next, we have Guillaume Beuscart of AMP. Where is Guillaume? Guillaume, are you here? There he is, okay. And finally, we have Bernard Marchant. He's the CEO of Russell Group Les Soins. There you are. Bienvenue. Good to see you again. Right, and of course, the title of this panel is Changing the Models of Press Distribution. I've talked enough about changing the model for the product and so on, but perhaps if each one of you could tell us how you're changing your distribution models at your publishing house, at your distribution business in the last 12 months. And I understand, beginning with you, you have a fascinating story to share with us from Malta to Greece. Malcolm. Yes, please.
Yes, I think the biggest innovation we had in our business was Malta, a tiny island in the middle of the Mediterranean, was a military base, a naval base for a long period. And publishers were prepared to accept losses in exporting, paying high air freights, whilst there were boys away from home on the bases. This all changed.
Sorry, could we bring back down the feedback because it's difficult for the other panelists to hear? Okay, carry on.
Can you hear now? It's better. Okay. And it got to the stage where publishers turned around, rightly so, and say, we are no longer prepared to export at a loss. So what are you going to do? And it was at this time where digital printing was just starting. And this was an opportunity for us to print locally products, international products, which were previously flown in from around Europe. And that, Malta was used as a beta site with the main vendor, Kodak. And from then, after Malta, we rolled out 9 other lines in Europe, in London, in Milan, in Rome, in Cyprus, Greece, and in Spain, in Tenerife. And there's a few more possibly in the pipeline. So that's the real change and the innovation with newspaper, if you like, distribution, which occurred with us. Sales increased in all sites because we were there earlier. And publishers, should we say, no longer lose money. They don't necessarily make a lot of money, but they don't lose money.
Right. And what kind of print runs are these?
Anything from 10 copies up to 3,500. And pagination up to 128 pages in one cut.
Right, and it's profitable already. A year into it?
It's profitable. Well, we are Malta 6 years into it.
Yeah.
But the sites are all operating profitably.
And if you could share with us the machines that you're using specifically, that would be interesting to know.
Yeah, the equipment is typically it's Kodak in all sites, bar one where we have a Dai-Nippon screen, and the finishing in all sites is Hunkler and Heidelberg.
Okay. Right, Jean-Paul, to the same question. What are you doing at Marie Claire in terms of reinventing distribution?
First of all, I'm more a publisher than a distribution manager. I'm above all a publisher. And I would prefer to talk to you about the way, maybe it's a question after.
Sure.
The way, what's the strategy of Marie Claire Group? Marie Claire Group is publishing in 35 countries.
If you could put your microphone close to you.
In all the countries, we can see that the circulation is going down. So we try to think about the future of our industry. We have 3 convictions, which is the center of our strategy. First of all, we believe in premium products, only in premium products. Our group doesn't try to publish low-cost magazines or large public magazines. We tried once, we failed. So we publish only magazines like Marie Claire, Cosmopolitan, different decoration magazines. And what we try to do now in the future is to make a better content, more upmarket, more glossy, because we think magazine should be in the future a nice product, a nice product to have. You have to be proud of your product, and the content has to be unique and has to be absolutely good value for money. I will give you just 2 examples for this. In the US, we publish Marie Claire. Marie Claire is about 1 million copies a month. 3 years ago, we were just break even, just. 3 years after, we changed the strategy. We decided to be more market. We will make about 15 million euro profit on one magazine. So it's a very optimistic message. It means we can change the model. So what we decided to do is to secure the circulation, but to give more value to the business in advertising and in the copy prices.
How much has the price increased?
In fact, we mainly increased the price of advertising, but we secured circulation by new activities in newsstands and in subscriptions and so on. So what we decided to do is to give more value for the same price for the readers, so they are more faithful. Mm-hmm. So we stabilize the circulation, but as the product is more upmarket, we can sell more advertising.
Okay.
And if we sell more advertising, we can go on publishing. And we can go on selling magazines. So I think it's a good model. Another model I would like to show you, because we didn't talk about this, but we launched last year Stylist.
Stylist, yes.
Stylist is a freemium magazine. So it's free and it's premium. So it's free magazine. I'm sorry for people who sell magazines, but I wanted to talk about this because when we launched it, so it's a very nice magazine. It's more or less what you said, typography, image, photography. It's very upmarket, very well done, a lot of good content, very unique. When we launched these magazines, no one except us believed in this project. But this project was already a success in UK. 2 years after, we won all the prizes for our competitors, best magazine of the year, best launch, best covers, best content, and we will be break-even next year. Why do I talk about this? Because it was a huge success with many nice advertisers, Chanel, Dior, Prada, and so on. Because we think that with this kind of project, we encourage other people, young people to read magazines and to buy other magazines. So, of course, it's a new business, a new model, but we think it's good for the rest of our traditional business. Right. So first thing is doing premium. The second thing is data. Data is really key in our business. Of course, it's key for us because we need to know our customers. We need to know what they want, what they consume, how can we approach them. But it's key for you, because you need to know exactly who is coming in your newsstands. And you need to adapt your offer to the demand of each shop, each newsstand. And I think data, you talked a bit about this, but not enough, I think, is really a key of the future for your business.
Very interesting. Let me pick up on that because it's interesting. And please, I'm going to scan you. If any of you want to come in at any moment, just raise your hand. We have the hostess and a host out there. So I will make sure you jump in at any moment, please. This is a discussion open to all of you. But on data, how are you getting distributors' kiosks to feed data back to you that is meaningful? How are you doing that?
I can ask Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie? You have my microphone for Anne-Marie? Can Anne-Marie share with us? Where are you, Anne-Marie?
Maybe I can just talk about your new application you developed in France, which is Zins. Zins is a good example because Zins is an application you can use when you are a reader, and if you want to find a magazine, you can find where it is sold, if it's sold out or not. If you want to find a shop, you can find a shop. And with this new application, you can enter many information about yourself.
Okay.
So personally, I don't get back yet the data, but I think Prestalis will give it to us soon. And if this is a way, but we can help you in our business. We can help you with our websites, with our application, to get the maximum of information about our consumers. And you can use it in your business to increase the value of each purchase.
Mr. de Nolf, to you, the same question. How are you reinventing distribution? We've heard through digital printing play with small printing plans. We've heard about data, pricing, new titles that are free. What else have you done that is new in your case?
I think there are two major changes. We increase prices.
Okay.
So we are also selling premium products, and we diversified. We created and started up a lot of special issues. We call them MAGA books. They are sold at a much higher price, up to 19 euros. They are printed on book paper. They are thick. They make 200 or 300 pages. They use the same brands of our news magazines.
Did you say 19 or 90?
We have one of, we make different issues about history. That's 14.95. 14.95, yes. Okay. We have a lot of publications about good cooking and wining and dining. We make it for different magazines. Almost every week we have a special issue, but still using the same traditional brands that we started about 40 years ago.
And for these MAGA books, what's the frequency? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? It must be quarterly?
They don't have real frequency. For every magazine of our group, we are making 4 times a year something about recipes,
right?
Good cooking. We do it for Nest, that's a country magazine. We do it for Plus, that's a magazine for senior citizens. And we do it also for Weekend Knack, who is our weekly lifestyle magazine. Another thing, but that's not at all new, we started making packages about 30 years ago. Our magazines were launched about 40 years ago. In Belgium, we didn't have any news magazine, any business magazine, any weekly sports news magazine. So that's what we did. We started Knack, Trends and Sport, in both languages, in Dutch and in French. But already, I think, 30 years ago, instead of offering just the news magazine part, we made a package with the news magazine, a lifestyle magazine called Weekend Knack, and an entertainment magazine called Focus Knack.
What does the package consist of?
Well,
you buy one, you get the other one?
No, you buy the package.
You buy the package together?
With at least 3 weekly magazines.
Inside?
Altogether.
Altogether.
And then upon that we have at least once a month Body Talk, who is about health. And during the year, different extra team issues about cars, about money, etc. So every week you get an average of 4 pieces. So that's our traditional offer. So this helped us to increase prices. It's a fact also that we have a lot of subscribers, but newsstand sales always were important. And I can say that this year, for the first time, newsstand sales are increasing again. But thanks to the fact that we had these major subscription base, we were always stable, almost stable in volume, and we always were able to increase our revenue. So the traditional business has not changed so much. We try to find new ideas about diversification.
With these MAGA books, because it is a trend worldwide, you see it in New York, you see it in London and Paris, a lot of these MAGA books are not purposely being sold in newsstands, in kiosks, but in bookstores. Is that how you're distributing them?
You find them everywhere, libraries,
everywhere.
bookstores,
It's
yes.
not just a bookstore-only play.
No.
Everywhere.
And what's special about our approach is the fact that we give all our subscribers, every week again, special coupons. And we send them back to the newsstand or to the bookstore. So people who are subscribers, they get their weekly publication by post. But all those special initiatives are only for sale in newsstands and in bookstores. We don't send them. So people, they have to get out and we send them back to the bookstore.
Yeah.
And almost 1 out of 3 publications that is sold that way are sold by or bought by people who get who make the trip with the coupon.
Right.
So this is a system that's working.
Guillaume, to you now, please. The same question as everyone else. What are you doing to reinvent distribution?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I would say that we are very old companies, dating from the 19th century and jumping into the 20th century. I would say that we have to reinvent in these models, as you said previously in your presentation. First of all, we talked about that several years ago, saying that we have to face declining trends, and I think that old people in the room know what I'm talking about. First of all, we try to do better with less. I would say that we know that we are not a growing business, declining trend, but we think that there are lots of opportunity to grasp. Well, I would say that the first one is we work on our strengths, on what we can do. That's why we decided to invest, and we invest in technology. So we change fast all the footprints of our processes in press distribution. We invest for the, to improve our quality and better quality, to reduce the treatment of the magazine, of the newspaper, in order to face, I would say, not to be competitive with the internet, but to give more time to the publisher in order to give more fresh news. We invest also for the retailers. I would say that it's quite important that we represent the publishers in many cases towards the retailers. We try to ease also the life of the retailers. You know that unsold processes are very boring for many point of sales, so we try to ease it. It's not always easy to change very long-lasting process, but I would say that with investment, training is very important in this process. We achieve quite a lot of things. But also we try also to develop our business, because we have to face declining trends. And I would say that a few years ago, with discussion with some publishers and newspaper publisher, we decided to propose an alternative to subscription business, which is traditionally a kind of which is traditionally managed by a postal organization in many countries. And we propose subscriptions through the point of sales. So we manage logistics, and the publisher has the freedom, of course, to manage the connection with the reader. Our model is based today what we call Winkel abonnement par le point de vente here in Belgium. What we try is to also to give an alternative to publisher to the postal organization, but also to support and to develop the sales of the point of sales. Well, after many years, today we realize about 10% of our activity today in Belgium thanks to this model. It represents last year about 23 million copies, and 3,000 point of sales participate to this program.
Subscriptions through point of sale. Explain to us how that works, and where does it, how well does it work?
I would say that it is an alternative to the traditional. It's not going to replace, of course, but we think that so when a reader wants to subscribe to a magazine or to a daily, he has the ability to either to choose a traditional home delivery system, or to get the copy directly in the point of sales each week, each day, whatever. And so we make and we organize a logistic process, and the publisher manage, I would say, the connection with the reader. And I would say that it creates a social connection in small villages, in small cities, where in many cases it disappeared. It's quite important in some part of Belgium also. And it's a service, because you know that with commuting and with daily life today, it's not always easy to find somebody at home. So we propose this kind of service. And generally speaking, the shopkeeper has to wake up quite early in the morning, about 4 or 5 o'clock, but to give a direct service to the home delivery system. And of course, he may be able to bring and to sell other things. So it's increasing year after year. We started 3 years ago with magazine after having started with newspaper. And it's a good alternative, I would say.
Monsieur Marchant, to you, at l'Histoire and your other titles, what are you doing to reinvent distribution?
It's basically, I will give some global answer, because if I would have to go, we are basically innovating every day. Therefore, it's a changing process on a daily basis. Globally, it's almost 20 years that we went from a mono-channel industry to a multi-channel industry. Therefore, it's quite a long experience. I would say 20 years, it's also, you are learning the process. And basically, at the end of the day, today we are totally agnostic on the device where we are distributing the news. Therefore, we don't really care where the readers want to get in contact with us. I would say this is totally open in the organization. We had to adjust the organization, obviously, to be able to do it, but today is a process that has been done. Therefore, basically, the key question is always to say we are not startup. In all the companies, we usually have titles being leader in their region and being also there since almost 100 years old. Therefore, we are not a startup, but basically we have to change, to adjust the organization, having in mind that being a mass media, you need to build up the audience, keeping in mind that you are not in a off strategy, but an and strategy. Therefore, basically, it's not paid or free, it's paid and free. It's not, that you will go on one device and not another one. You go on all the devices, and basically this is something that you have to integrate in your company. Therefore, the first thing in any media, it was the case with the radio, with the television, you have to build up the audience. Therefore, before to do anything, if you want to be a mass media, you have to be leader on the digital platform, on the mobile platform, on all the platforms you are working on. Therefore, basically, at the starting point is you start as a free media. It was the case of the Soir 125 years ago when it started as a free media. It has been the case of the radio, and the radio at the beginning were losing tons of money before to reach an audience and then to start monetizing the audience. Therefore, the process the last 15 years has basically been to build up the audience. And based on the type of title, it will be different for the financial newspaper than from the quality or for the popular one. Then you start monetizing in a different way, which means when you are on a niche market, you can go quite quickly. If you are in a very mass popular media, it takes more time before you start monetizing the things. Therefore, going on to the freemium model is not the same based on the type of newspaper you are putting on the market. And the process, of course, needs time. We need to buy time. We should never forget this, because you need to respect your readers. The readers are 15 years old or 95 years old. They all want to get an Android type of device, an iOS type of device. They go the same day on 5 different devices to be in contact with you. Therefore, you need to adjust and to be the best aggregator in the technology field. Therefore, this is something new in a media company, that you need experts, not to develop your own technology, obviously you are not good in that, but to be able to aggregate the technology as some of the people are aggregating our content. Therefore, we need to be specialized in that, and having the transforming totally the newsroom, but in a way where you keep the focus on the content, on what is key for each title. Therefore, we are putting things, we are making some synergies between our titles on the services, on the basic information, but never on what is making the difference. Of course. Therefore, we don't want to make a central newsroom into a company, since the value of one newspaper is not at all the one of another newspaper. Therefore, yes, partnership is a key point, but fusion, merging the company, surely not, because the level of contact you keep with your readers is extremely important if you want to keep trust and developing that. Therefore, that's something we pay attention. The key point in the newsroom is to really creating, especially in the south of Europe, where the journalism have not the same kind of training than in, just to make it simple. Producing an article in the north of Europe is a collective work. In the south of Europe, it's an individual work. Therefore, it's simplifying a lot, but it's making a big difference, obviously, when you start to work on a multi-device platform, because you each time need to adjust the contents based on the device, and you have to organize your newsroom and your journalism based on this. Therefore, a lot of job in, I would say, in French-speaking countries, you had what we call it traditionally secrétaire de rédaction, which is a function that should not exist anymore in any of the newsroom today. Now, this is easy to say. No, you have to do it after, which means transforming strongly the people in the way you do what is key in a company like us, which is the content. Therefore, content is key. Aggregating the technology is extremely important, and building up the economical model, meaning that you need to adjust your organization. That has to be at least within the next 10 years in the same dimension than the startup company. Therefore, you have to go in that process, not in one day, because we should never forget that the rhythm is extremely important. You have to pay attention to the buzz. You have to go through you have to keep, your distance with what's happening everywhere, because if you just go in what consultant try to bring you, you can kill your media as well. Therefore, you have to keep cool.
Have you been increasing prices in this process? In terms of some of your titles, have you increased the price of some of your titles? Are you moving them into a premium proposition? Or have the printed products stayed pretty much the same?
The pricing is very important, but as in many other industries, I believe there will be not one price anymore. There will be really differentiated price. This is something not always easy to put in the marketing unit, but there is no reason that someone being 25 years old should pay the same price than someone being 45 years old, or based on the quantity of the content he's consuming, etc. And that's something that has to be changed in your industry. But if you go tomorrow, if you go in a plane, there is no one guy that has paid the same price than the other one. And I believe that will be the same in our contents tomorrow. Therefore, we need to adjust.
How do you do that at the kiosk?
Sorry?
How do you do that at the kiosk, at the newsstand? No, you're 25 years old, you'll pay half. In the physical world, how does that work?
In the kiosk is quite complex to do it, but you can do it, for example, in university field.
No, that of course,
with subscription, you can do it quite easily. And not digital, of course. It's quite.
And it's interesting you mention that, because Amazon is doing that very heavily at the moment, Netflix as well. Entry-level prices, mid-age prices, and so on. Right, let me open it up to the floor, please. First-class minds here, publishers and distributors. Your chance to ask questions of them, and I will make sure you do ask questions, please. So, quickly, anybody wants to? Does that resonate with you? It's your time to talk, your time to ask questions. If we all think the same, somebody isn't thinking. Yeah? Let me possibly get a bit of a discussion going here about digital distribution. Do you think, Malcolm, and all of you, if you could respond to this, because there's been a lot of talk about the fact that your model is the future, that those huge print and plant operations and complex distribution systems have to go. The closer you get to the reader, the last mile is really where you make a good profit margin. So lots of publishers reconsidering at the moment possibly their relationship with a distributor. Malcolm, first of all, is it replicable scalable in other countries? Malta, Cyprus, Greece, fairly small markets and limited geographically?
Yeah, I think a very good example is Jersey.
Jersey.
Which in January will have the world's largest multi-title site. It's actually 2 lines with 8 finishing lines, so it's a big project. That will replace newspapers being flown in from the mainland, from London primarily, or printing plants around the UK, and also print the local newspapers. And that will be then followed by Guernsey. So that is hundreds of millions of pages a year. I'd say well, it's way beyond 1.5 billion pages a year. So you're talking. So yes, you get closer to and it enables the equipment to be used during the daytime for quality commercial printing, leaflets, magazines, variable data. So I think if you look around you, say North America, where a lot of equipment, newspaper equipment, is now very dated, circulation's falling, nobody's quite sure which way to turn, the sales of new offset machines are far and few between. Everybody wants flexibility.
Right, in mature markets, of course, in developing markets,
Correct.
still picking them up. Any of you want to come in on digital printing as a good solution close to the customer point of sale? Obviously, for magazines, not as relevant, but any of you, perhaps?
What we see about our digital subscribers, most of our readers, I must say, it's almost 90% are subscribers. They all have the possibility to read the magazine also the digital way. We offer 3 possibilities. It can be PDF, just the way it is printed, same layout. We have a special tablet version, and they also can read the articles just plain text. So all the comfort.
Right.
We made a major effort to explain that they had to download the application. So we had to relaunch that different times, and after many months, I can say that almost half of our subscribers, I'm talking about the news magazine, 100,000 people. So about 50,000, they did download the application. But we can see every week what they are doing. Are they reading the digital version or not? It's less than 2%.
Less than 2%.
Less than 2%.
Yeah.
And upon that, we have about 1,000 to 2,000 also, a little 2% of people who are buying the magazine, we could say digital only. They can buy it per issue, or they can take a subscription of 3 months.
So what does that tell you?
Well, it means
How do you interpret that?
I think that for quality magazines, for news magazines, paper will remain essential. I suppose it will grow. The 2% is maybe not enough, but it's really difficult to explain that they have to download the application, that it's something interesting.
But even when it's made very frictionless and easy, people are still not coming back. They try, they download it, you get that headline number, 1 million people downloaded our app, and then the consumption disappears.
We try to see what's happening, and apparently they use it when they are traveling. When they are at home and they get their magazine, they don't use it at all.
Yeah. If you could raise your hand, we'll get the microphone to you. In the meantime, Jean-Paul.
Yeah, if I can add some point. In our company, we try to push digital circulation. So we invest quite a lot. We created some jobs for people just in charge of this. And what we can see in all the countries, the most advanced was US, that digital circulation, so it means not the consumption of a brand, but the consumption of a product, magazine. It never goes over 4%.
Wow.
Even in US, where we sell 1 million copies, there are only 40,000 people reading the magazine on a tablet or on a computer or on another device. And in France, we are even between 1% and 2%. We hope to go to 4%, but it's very difficult. Yeah. What is now happening in some countries, it's the global digital circulation. It means you sell via some different companies your magazines, and people receive it for free. The company pays for the magazines. They receive it for free, and they can open for free the magazine, but for you it's like paid circulation. And right now it's going quite up, but I think it's a very bad quality circulation because people are not committed to the magazine. So I'm not very optimistic about this kind of process for the magazines. Maybe for newspapers it's very different.
Right. We have 2 questions, 1 and 2. Go.
Hi, I'm Mike Myrons from Comag in the UK. I liked a lot of what you were saying about innovation, and a lot of the design was very good, although I question whether in magazines we can see flat circulation if the prices go up by 5 times. That feels hard. What we've seen, what I think I see a lot in publishing businesses, and I wanted to ask the publishing members of the panel, is that a lot of the innovation and investment is going into the digital parts of the business as publishers try to work out what that future looks like, but not much into holding on to the print engine, which is still generating, as you said, quite a lot of the income.
Yeah, Bernard Marchant, that question, which percentage of your revenue is going into reinventing print?
Low level.
Low level.
To be honest, I would say we believe in print, and we believe we need to invest in print for the future. But we know, let's say, it's quite easy to do in the organization. Therefore, it's something that we don't need to do a lot of efforts to do it. We will not buy new printing units. We will continuously change the format of the newspaper, because this is something we do since 30 years, and therefore we will continue to do this. But we have to admit, let's say, the print version of a newspaper remains the best summary of the information of the day before. When we get some targets to our people, I would say yes, we do believe the print version, that could be after even available on PDF or whatever, but talking about the print, has to be the best summarizing information of the day before, and I believe, and that you will be able to consume in 1 hour, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, just to get the essential. And that's important. There are a lot of people looking for this kind of information. Therefore, we believe in the value, but we don't believe that we have to change all day long, but we are not too much on the magazine. We are much more on the newspaper, which may be a bit different than in the magazine. Now, of course, you know that we bring magazine into our newspaper today. It is part of the innovation, but we did it 10 years ago. Therefore, that's not new things that we will do. But in terms of money, in terms of investment,
it's negligible.
This is not something that we will do a lot, because we need to admit that we need to invest a lot just to build up our new economical model into the digital. But this does not mean that we don't believe anymore, because there is always the tendency to believe that a product, because the product is not growing, that the product is not good anymore. This is not true. You can manage in a company part of your activities that are declining softly. Softly means, and we made the exercise if we lose 5%.
But nobody mostly questions whether it's good, is whether it's relevant.
Sorry?
Whether it's relevant. One thing is be good, I'm sure your journalism is excellent, is whether it's relevant so late on a print platform. Isn't that the question you face sometimes?
Sorry.
No, the question is not so much whether it's good. No doubt your journalism is good, is whether it's relevant on a printed product 10, 17 hours after the story's out there.
Yes, but again, the day after, the value of the content is extremely good. If you are in your breakfast, you get your newspaper on the table, that's perfect. Now, I have a question on distribution. How long will that be possible? Printing is not an issue. Distributing is a big issue. Therefore, there will be a moment where the daily distribution of the newspaper will be complex. No doubt about that. Would that be in 10 years, 5 years from now? I don't know. And I don't really care, because we have to prepare ourselves as if it would be 5 years. Now, if it is 10 years, it's good. If it is 15 years, perfect. But there is a moment of time where the critical mass for daily distribution will be under pressure. Now, that's for sure. There is no discussion about that. And we need to accept it. And I'm not sure there will be many people ready to buy a newspaper for 10 euro. And there will be a moment where the critical mass will not be there anymore. And we need to accept it, we need to adjust ourselves. No, I cannot give an exact timing, hopefully, on this. It will be longer than we believe.
Let's hope so. Yes, please, come back, yeah.
Part of my question is that if you don't invest in the print, it will be 5 years, it won't be 10 or 15.
Yeah, you're accelerating. No, you don't believe that.
We don't believe. I would say this is a product. And there are a lot of people being, between 50, 60, 70. They need to read their newspaper every day. Now, the point indeed is that they will accept to pay a certain price for it, and there is a limit in the price you can charge them. At the moment the distribution will be too high, then probably they will switch. This is not that we are not changing. We cannot say, because basically what you will find on the digital platform, you will find it back on the print. For all investment we do in contents, on the digital version will be available on the print version. but it will be summarized on 42 pages, which is good because I believe the people they don't have that much time to surf on a platform, a digital platform. They will love to have a product that is summarizing the best news of the day before.
Yeah.
But this information being summarized on a PDF platform, whatever the platform HTML will be in the future, we don't really care, or on a print version, let's say the print version has some future. Till the moment it will be too.
Yeah. Your answer to the same question, the two publishers in the panel, Rick de Nolf and Jean-Paul Lubot, which percentage, beginning with you, Rick, of your investment from your revenues goes back into reimagine and rethinking print?
Well, I can say that our major investments were concerning our newsroom, and I must say it was about making a good website, working 7 days a week, 24 hours, so we are magazine publishers, but our competitors are more and more the dailies, as you say. They are making fantastic magazines in the weekend, so we are also making now a fantastic website every day. And I think it's interesting because of the fact that we reach millions of people. We have millions of page views, and we have more than 1 million people who are subscribers for our digital newsletters. And anyhow, it's the way to find the potential reader. And the best way to sell new subscriptions for the print today is using the big data, thanks to our website. So all these investments in the online activities are very, very, very helpful to sell just the traditional print subscription, who is a complete subscription with all the advantages, with the digital version, etc., with membership advantages, etc. But the way to find the new potential reader today, the best way is just the online world. So we have about, for a country like Belgium, 10 million people. I think we have about 5 million names and email addresses, etc. And more also we know about the profiles, and we can target for the different magazines, different groups. So this helps a lot.
So you're investing in CRM to get people to continue to consume print. That's more or less how you are reinventing.
What can we sell at a nice price?
Yeah.
It's the nice price. It's for the global subscription, including print and based on print.
Yeah.
There is one thing interesting in Belgium in the last year. The print version was really, there was a shift from kiosk to subscriber because the delivery at home was quite competitive. If I'm looking now for the next 10 years, it could be reversed, because I'm not sure that because of the critical mass, the daily distribution at home will be viable on a long term, and then you can get the people back into the kiosk. Of course, if the kiosk, I'm not talking about specifically the kiosk, but in the shops, in different places, in the restaurant, in the bars, in the different places. I believe if we just project it ourselves in the next 10 years, there could be some reverse. I'm speaking here about Belgium, surely France, where the distribution, the local distribution on the daily basis is very complex.
Jean-Paul, to this question, which percentage and Marie Claire?
It's very difficult to give a percentage. In our group, we still believe in print publishing strongly. We reinvent our magazines all the time. For example, at the beginning of next year, we will reinvent 5 of our magazines. We just launched in Kazakhstan. We launched Stylist, and we have some other projects. So we do believe that printing is key in our business. It's our main revenues, but we have to rethink it. Once we have said this, we try to innovate, and we try to sell with a higher price all of magazines. And if I take the example of Marie Claire France this year, my volume is down by about 10%, but my turnover is stable.
Okay.
So I increased the price. I made many offers, many new products, and it was quite successful. If I speak about the group, we invest a bit in the print, but it's true that we invest a lot in digital and in brand stretching. Because we believe that the future is in what we call in French, I don't know the name in English, ecosystem, brand ecosystem. We think that if we want to go on with a huge and solid publishing business, we need to create many contact points with all our consumers. So on the digital, and we get the data to sell subscriptions and to go to send them to the newsstands. But for example, in the case of Marie Claire, we create some beauty programs, we create some musical festival, we create some editions, book editions, and so on. So we want to be present in all the life of our consumers, to be able to, we want them to get up with Marie Claire and to go to bed with Marie Claire. Always, always, always. And in this case, we are able to better sell our magazine because our magazine will be key in their life.
Yeah. David. Yeah, it's on. It's live.
Is it on? Hello, hello. Yeah, I want to bring Malcolm back in because in a former life I was quite familiar with digital printing, and there were two key barriers to really make it work, which you seem to have overcome, or maybe you've done it another way. But the two things lacking, one was whether we could get local advertising into the digital product to subsidize the cost of printing, because short-run digital printing, particularly in colour, is expensive. And the second thing was so you had your advertising, and then it was the unsolds at the retail side. Once you put digital print into a retailer and it doesn't sell, or at least it only sells 60% or something, the cost of the unsolds just kill the business. How are you getting over those two issues?
The model we use, David, is, and it's no secret, it's a model we created and we share with Kodak in various markets, and they are the people doing Jersey as well. Is slightly different to the digital publishing or printing you're talking about. Ours is more competitive below about 3,000 copies than offset. So basically, for markets, cities or holiday destinations, our cost per page, our cost per copy is lower than printing traditionally and using logistics, typically air freight, to get to that destination. So there is a certain buffer for on-sales. Local advertising is a minefield with any publisher, and getting any publisher to agree to it. And then typically if you're selling or printing, say, 3,500 copies, what do you charge the local punter? Not easy. And then publishers are very sensitive to flyers, and you know, if you go to places like Thailand, there's a lot of funny business going on with flyers which shouldn't be there, advertising. So in a short answer, it is the cost of production. If you get your cost of production right, then you're in there with typically a traditionally printed newspaper.
Yeah, Guillaume Beuscart, you want to comment on that as well? Yeah.
Well, so what's the question, excuse me?
David, ask the question again. It was about...
well,
I was asking about whether digital printing, if you're going to use short-run printing for serving markets that are hard to reach, do you need to have local advertising in it? Because normally digital printing carries a higher production cost than high-volume offset. But digital printing does offer you all sorts of other options where you can customize both editorial and advertising. But I understood from Malcolm, he was just saying it's such a minefield. Publishers don't like third parties, if you like, getting involved in their advertising.
But there's if I may, sorry, there's a caveat to this. What I said before was international newspapers in remote sites. There's a site going up 80 miles from 80 kilometers, sorry, from Brussels, in France, which is owned by a local newspaper group, and they will carry very, very localized advertising. But that's the publisher with his own material, but he will use it, which is the best application for digital, for total variable data. So you can have the guy, the small boulangerie on the corner with paying 25 euros for an ad. But there's a lot of these in the region. So.
You see, as circulation's full, the Guardian, my old newspaper, it would sell maybe 1,500 copies back in the old days in Aberdeen. It took a lot of time and money to get those copies up there. I just wonder whether in this day and age, domestic publishers could be using the new short-run digital printing, with you're talking about the falling cost of that, to serve their domestic markets.
Yeah, I think some of the remote, say, in the UK, once Jersey Guernsey is done, you've got the remote islands of Scotland, parts of the West Country, parts of Scotland, which are going to become very expensive to feed. You know, the fixed cost is there. And,
Guillaume, on that, opening up advertising space to local advertisers, make it all economical when it comes to digital printing.
I would say that the first thing is the support. I would say I agree with Bernard Marchant when he was saying that we have to think about the experience of the reader and to bring quality and something different from the web, from something different from perhaps the daily printing today. I would say that digital printing may bring a part of the answer. But I don't think it's going to bring the full answer. For example, in our experience, we are a very large part of our warehouses and treatment plants are very close to printing houses. So we don't face really this issue of distance and very costly transport fees and things like that. From this side, it works, but I think a quick question, as Bernard Marchant said, it was in the future and over the next years, how long will we able as press distributor to support at a very cheap price or at last of a price where the consumer is able to pay? So we don't want to pay a newspaper in paper 10 euros, of course. And that's why we have to reinvent the model. I would say I'm less pessimistic because there is lots of opportunity still to grasp. Subscription may be an opportunity, but also in press distribution and particularly for the daily, we have extraordinary assets. We are the only one to deliver press each day before 7 a.m. each morning in a very large network. And so thanks to that, there are lots of mutualization which could be done and maintain a certain level of price which would be acceptable. I would say that digital, and for me, but that's very personal, I would say that digital printing could be a solution for international press, and knowing that it has still to maintain and to bring this experience with the reader, which is key for me.
Right, and we must leave it there, I'm afraid. So Bernard Marchant, Guillaume Beuscart, Jean-Paul Lubot, Reid de Nolf, and Malcolm Miller, thank you all very much. Thank you.